Thank you for joining us for NACVA's Around the Valuation World Live. I'm Brian Jones, NACVA's Chief Operations Officer and Executive Vice President. We're joined today by leading global forensic accounting expert, Daryl D. Durrell, who will talk to us about financial triage for COVID-19. He will share with us 3 simple but powerful tools, Excel tools, to help business owners and advisors manage precious cash, increase diminishing revenues, and focus scarce people and resources to adjust to dealing with this COVID pandemic crisis. These tools support business continuity during the crisis. Thank you, Daryl, for joining us.
Delighted to be here, Brian, and thanks to you and Shonda for taking your time to do this.
Absolutely. So tell us why you equate financial triage, or rather medical triage, to financial triage for businesses.
Yeah, that's a great question. It has to do with some of the training I have had over the years with regard to emergency and first aid, those sorts of things, trauma. And in my mind, medical trauma is just like troubled business trauma. And we've worked with many troubled businesses over the years, and there's a direct correlation between the two. Stopping the bleeding, stabilizing the patient, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. So like in medical triage, the first responders, the emergency medical professionals are trying to deal with the most traumatic, life-saving injuries and assessing what's going on before they can do really anything else. And that's similar to equating that to financial triage?
That's exactly right, Brian. Direct corollary. And so the tools apply in that same kind of a sequence. So that's good insight.
So tell us about these tools, Daryl.
The first tool has to do with something called a rolling cash flow. And if, for example, you happen to pass an accident on the freeway and you see someone heavily bleeding, that's an urgent issue. It's the same thing with cash flow. So the bleeding has to be stopped, the cash flow. The patient has to be stabilized, and then treatment can be applied. So this rolling cash flow allows you to take that concept and apply it to virtually any business.
That's quite fascinating. What's the next tool?
The next tool is, once the blood flow is stabilized, cash flow, next is how to grow revenue, because that's your next question. Okay, we've stabilized the problem, now how do we grow revenue? There's a very basic day-by-day tool that allows you to do that, and that's one of the things that have been connected with this webinar for people who are attending it.
Stabilize the cash flow, dealing with the revenues and income. And what's the third tool?
Third tool has to do with forward looking. So just like a patient who's been injured, same thing with a business. They've been traumatized by COVID-19. So the cash flow has to be stabilized and maintained. Next, revenue has to be grown. And then finally, the organization is ready to start taking additional steps forward. And that's where the CCO concept comes into play.
So tell us about these tools, Daryl, and how will they be used?
First tool has to do with cash and maintaining it. It's very precious. You have to concentrate the available cash. You have to accelerate the inflows, and you have to decelerate the outflows. The daily revenue then is getting all the parties in the business, the employees, focused on generating revenue day by day towards a specific goal. And then the final tool, the CCO concept, has to do with getting, now that things have been stabilized, everyone moving forward on other issues that have to be resolved beyond the two we just discussed.
So Daryl will be teaching a 1-hour live webinar at 12 Eastern, a free webinar on April 14th, April 16th, April 21st, April 23rd, April 29th, and April 30th. Again, 1-hour free webinar where he will discuss these tools for financial triage, managing precious cash, increasing diminished revenues, and putting the people in the business together on a single goal and mission to work to improving the company operations. During this webinar, he will share these tools and how to use them with business owners and advisors, and even individuals. You can register for this webinar, Financial Triage for COVID-19, at the nacva.com/COVID-19, where this webinar and others are available to you as you're navigating this climate post-COVID-19 or in the midst of COVID-19. Several other webinars and resources are available for you to take advantage of, many of them free. Any closing words, Daryl?
I would summarize by saying, Brian, that we've used these tools for decades, and they've been used in tiny businesses and giant businesses. So they're applicable to virtually everyone. They're all just one page. They're simple. They augment financial statements. And once you implement them, I don't think you'd ever decide to go back and not use them anymore.
Right. Well, great. Thank you so much, Daryl. This was a tool that you developed for your forensic accounting methodology in the earlier crisis, 2008, 2009, that you felt was very applicable to today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, when we ran into the 2008 crisis, we had a similar set of problems. And for many years prior to that, we had been using these tools. We have a total of 8, but these 3 are the primary crisis type tools. So we just adapted those to present day environment, and they're clearly needed and very useful.
Great. So again, join us on either April 14th, 16th, 21st, 23rd, 29th, or 30th, 12 Eastern, for this 1-hour free webinar. And you can join by registering at nacva.com/COVID-19. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon in this series.